Hello there, continuing my mini-series celebrating Black-owned beauty brands. This is all about highlighting founders of colour in the industry and companies with inclusivity at their core. In the first video, I started with two industry leaders and very famous names, Fenty and Pat McGrath, but I'm moving on to smaller companies, indie brands, multitasking makeup, skincare and haircare. I'll also be updating my Black-owned brands blog post with my favourite product picks after each video. Today is all about two brands I have loved discovering and shopping with this year, Danessa Myricks and Oma Beauty. I'll tell you a little bit about the inspiring female founders behind the brands, their hero products, and what I've tried so far. Several products have skyrocketed straight into my 2020 favourites list. We have a lot of swatching to get through, so let's get started and meet Oma Beauty. Oma means beautiful in Igbo, one of the main languages spoken in Nigeria where the founder Sharon Shuter was born. Sharon is a former beauty executive turned brand founder, CEO and creative director based in LA and London. She worked at companies like LVMH, L'Oreal, Revlon and Benefit before bringing her own vision to the market when she couldn't accept the lack of inclusivity. I'll leave a podcast interview with her below. You'll find many other features on her in recent months because she also started the Pull Up for Change initiative, a huge social media movement asking brands to be transparent about workplace diversity. Sharon founded Oma in April last year and defied the odds for an indie brand, going straight into stores like Ulta and Selfridges with a great range of inclusive products, including 51 foundation shades. I found Oma on Cult Beauty, which ships internationally, and I was instantly drawn to the Double Take Sculpt and Strobe sticks. They're double-ended cream, contour and highlight sticks that come in 6 shade combinations. I've mentioned before that contouring products often only come in one shade of light browny grey, which only works for fair skin, so I've never seen such an excellent range of contouring shades from very deep to very fair. I bought two to serve slightly different purposes, contouring and bronzing. The fairest shade, White Pearl, ticks that very cool-toned light brown box for a natural-looking shadow on fair skin. The texture is so creamy and easy to blend with fingers or a stippling brush. It melts into the hollows of my cheeks and looks barely there, but you can build it up for more definition. The highlight at the other end is exactly the kind of tone I love, a cool pink champagne I featured in my summer makeup video recently. Nice and creamy and fairly pigmented, or you can tap and blend it into the skin for a more subtle finish. I also picked up Fair Lady. This is the second lightest shade and more of a bronzer for me. What's the difference? Bronzer mimics a sun-kissed look where the sun naturally hits your face. The high points around my hairline, touch on my cheekbones and across the bridge of the nose. Contour helps to shape the face and creates the illusion of a natural shadow in the hollows of the cheeks, under the jawline or at the temples. You can certainly use bronzer to contour too, but I like very sheer layers of this chocolatey tone to warm up my skin instead, and wear as an easy eyeshadow too. The highlighter on the other end creates a much more golden glow. It would look great on warmer skin tones. Nice dabbed onto the skin or the eyes as well. I like the little design detail of the darker coloured stripe to tell you it's the contour end and the lighter stripe at the highlight end. I'll leave a video linked below where one of my favourite beauty writers, Rio Vera Newton, talks you through how she uses the Oma Double Take stick, and it's exactly what I do too. Nice light layers that subtly shape and highlight the face. Rio said this formula bumped her longtime favourite contour stick out of top spot, so you know it means business. Oma have an amazing badass matte lipstick range, that's literally what it's called, not just how I'd describe the colours, but I started with their Boss Gloss Pure Colour Lip Gloss in the shade Passion. This is a really interesting formula because it's a gloss meets a stain. You get the shine and pigment of a gloss, but the lasting power and slightly tackier feel of a stain. It's quite surprising to apply at first because you think you're working with a gloss, but it stays in place. It's meant to be non-sticky, but sadly I do find it a bit sticky. The lasting power means it can't be a balmy, lightweight gloss, so there's a bit of a tackier, filmy feel on the lips. Thinking of it as having more of a lip stain texture is a better way to approach it. Quite a strong vanilla / chemical scent too. I love this rich, rosy brown tone, such a great shade for a touch of colour or a deeper look if you layer it. I certainly have my eye on Oma's matte lipsticks next, named after iconic women of colour who've inspired Sharon. I've heard great things about her brow gel too, so please let me know what you've tried from the brand and if you have any lipstick shade suggestions. Time to move on to Danessa Myricks. Danessa is a professional makeup artist, photographer and entrepreneur with 20 years of industry experience. As a self-taught artist, she's worked with a dream early 2000s Spotify playlist of stars stars like Britney Spears, Madonna, and Jordan Sparks before launching her own brand 3 years ago. Danessa's inclusive and colourful products are very popular with makeup artists, but there's no reason why regular beauty lovers like us can't get creative with her creations at home too. She loves glowy, radiant skin, applying makeup with her fingers, and all of her products are meant to be multi-purpose, so it's not hard to work out why I'm obsessed. It's honestly been such a joy to discover her brand and feel inspired to play with makeup and colour. I bought a bunch of her products on Beautylish. They stock a wide range and ship to a long list of countries. Then Danessa's team found my Instagram and videos and very kindly sent press samples of some other products to test. I can break my collection down into multitaskers, glow, and some eye colour, but let's start with her multitaskers and one of her signature products, Colourfix 24-Hour Cream Colour. Time to bring back finger painting and art class experimentation because these little tubes are just like paint. They come in 4 finishes: matte, metallic, foil, and glaze, but I've had fun exploring the mattes. I think there are about 40 shades. This cream formula is incredibly long wearing, fast drying, versatile. You can apply it on your eyes, cheeks, and lips, and they're intensely pigmented. I cannot stress enough that the tiniest dot is plenty to play with. A little bit goes the longest way I've ever seen. It's such bold colour, but I'll also show you how each shade can be sheared out. I have 3 colour families here, some pretty rich rosy tones, some brighter playful colours, and some darker shades. Let's get swatching. Creme Brulee is the softest, most delicate shade here. It's described as a dusty rose pink. Look how far you can make that colour go. It starts out with a bit of a mauve tone to it, but it shears out to be a lovely, soft petal pink. Really pretty as a monochrome look on lips, cheeks, and eyes. Desert Rose was one of the first shades I purchased. It's spelt Dessert Rose on my tube, but it's listed as Desert online. Can't get enough of it. Definitely my favourite colour here. It's described as a mauve pink, but I'd call it a deep, rich rose. It shears out to be a really pretty, subtle pink that's perfect as a wash of colour on the eyes. Spicy is fairly similar to Desert Rose, so I bought both to try to work out the difference. This one is called a warm tan, but it still has a really berry look to it. I definitely thought it would be a bit warmer. There are only quite subtle differences between the two. I'd say Spicy has a touch more berry to it and is ever so slightly darker. Rustic was another shade I put straight in my Beautylish cart. This colour is a fantastic burnt orange, a rich, rusty tone that seems to become a bit more vibrant when it's sheared out. Alana Davison filmed a tutorial in May last year with this shade as a wash of colour on the eyes, and that's exactly how I wear it too. If you thought that shade was bold, Phoenix just kicked things up a notch. This is a seriously fun, bright orange. Rustic definitely looks orange on the eyes when you shear it out, but this is orange juice bright. Maybe even a touch of coral to it too. A thin, graphic liner look with this would be perfect in summer. Fruit Punch is Phoenix's cherry cousin. It's called a cherry red, but it actually comes across as more of a rich raspberry pink to me. Interestingly, this shade also has a touch of glitter. Haven't seen that in any of the other shades I've tried. It's definitely quite noticeable in the light when it's sheared out, but not too obvious if you're just drawing it on as eyeliner. Moving on to some deeper shades, and Brownie is described as a warm brown. This is a beautiful, deep chocolate shade, but I love it because when you shear it out, you can actually see some pretty rosy berry tones coming through again. So it ends up being a bit less of a muddy brown or a really warm chocolate brownie colour. Finally, Root Beer was a shade I was inspired to buy after seeing my friend and makeup artist Harry Makes It Up apply it as a liner. Black liner is a classic, but it can sometimes look a bit stark, so I love using a deep brown or burgundy. Again, the deep berry tones in this start to become more obvious as you shear it out. This is the only shade here with a slightly more metallic finish, but it's still counted as one of her mattes. Let's quickly flash back through all of those shades so it's a bit easier to compare them. From the top, Creme Brulee, Desert Rose, Spicy, Rustic, Phoenix, Fruit Punch, Brownie, and Root Beer. Then, taking a look at them all at full strength, there's Creme Brulee, Desert Rose, Spicy, Rustic, Phoenix, Fruit Punch, Brownie, and Root Beer. These dry down very quickly, so it's best to start with a really small dot, buff it in with your fingertips or a fluffy brush, and layer more if you need. You can even try mixing colours or adding a dot into your moisturiser or one of Danessa's glowy products coming up to help the shades look like more of a natural flush on the cheeks. Speaking of a natural flush on the cheeks, let's move on to her Vision Flush formula. If the Colourfix tubes were acrylic paints, these are the watercolours. It's not quite the right example because they're still very pigmented, but these are certainly more lightweight and easy easy to blend on the skin. Another truly multi-purpose formula for cheeks, lips and eyes that can be built up or sheared out as a beautiful wash of colour. They look quite dewy when first applied, but dry down to be a natural semi-matte or satin matte. These waterproof, long-wearing, smudge-free tubes recently expanded to 12 shades. Planning to swatch more in future, but I thought I'd start with 5 of my favourites today. Ballet Slippers is called a peach. I'm such a peach person, so this one is my favourite for a monochrome look on the eyes, cheeks and patted onto the lips. And I just found out it's their most popular shade. It's definitely not a bright peach, much more muted and deep, like a dried peach maybe. Sweet Nectar is a vibrant orange, so fresh on the cheeks and fun to wear on the eyes and lips in summer. I like applying this formula on the lips by wiping the excess back into the tube, dabbing on a couple of dots, then blending it in with my fingertips for a soft, blurred lip look. If you thought Sweet Nectar was bright, wait for this. Sunset is a fiery orange red. It almost looks like a bright cherry red, even though the next shade is the one with cherry in the title. I'll leave a link below to a post by Rachel from Skincare Standard on Instagram, who wears this one so well as the slightest sunburnt touch of natural colour. Cherry Bomb looks like a rich red in the tube, but it's a bit more of a berry than a cherry to me. That deep red comes out in the first swipe, but it starts to look more purpley pink when it's sheared out. For some reason, this one also seems to be slightly less creamy and intense and easier to shear out than the first 3. Black Cherry is a deep purple to finish, a really pretty plummy colour. At full intensity, it doesn't seem to apply quite as evenly as the bolder shades did on me. That can generally happen with darker colours, but it shears out beautifully to be a nice berry stain. Looking back at my top 5, that was Ballet Slippers, Sweet Nectar, Sunset, Cherry Bomb and Black Cherry. Another new favourite multitasker for me in 2020 when you want to put together a quick look with one product. Let me know which shade you'd pick. Danessa is all about glowy, dewy, glossy skin, so let's meet 3 products to get that look. Her Dew Wet Balms are very generous, large compacts that were much bigger than I expected when my order arrived. Dew Wet Balm are the 3 best adjectives for this highlighter. It creates such a natural, fresh glow and that glass skin, slightly glossy look when you tap it onto your cheekbones, brow bone, down the bridge of the nose, cupid's bow, across the eyelids or in the inner corner of the eyes to brighten them up. Importantly, they're not as pigmented as they look. Really easy to apply with your fingertips to mimic the dewy finish of healthy, hydrated, moisturized skin. There are 5 shades and I purchased 2. Rose Water is described as a sheer rose gold with a luminous finish. Just like one of the Oma Beauty Double Take sticks, this is such a pretty pink highlight if you prefer this sort of tone instead of more traditional champagne shades. It's still sheer, but a reasonable amount of the colour shows up for a rosy glow. Hot Water is called a sheer tan. Despite it being a lot deeper in the compact, it's actually not as pigmented as Rose Water. The sheer, balmy texture wins out here and there's just the slightest golden touch to it. I do notice a tiny bit of glitter in this one close up too. Which shade do you prefer? Time to meet another Colourfix tube texture, Glaze. I purchased the clear version to have fun with a super glossy eye or cheek or even a glass-like lip. Definitely a very editorial sort of look. You'll find plenty of inspiration images on Danessa's Instagram. A glossy look is not low maintenance. It will slide around and crease, but the texture of this glaze is so nice and smooth so it doesn't feel sticky or gloopy. That means you can tone it down by working it into the skin or just swiping a light layer on for more of a dewy sheen rather than that really wet look shine. There it is at full strength compared to the Dew Wet Balms above to see the difference. Very easy to be your own makeup artist with this and play around to get the look you're after. The most dramatic product in Danessa's glowy family is the Illuminating Veil, a cream highlighter that adds a really radiant glow. I asked her team how they recommend using it and they asked Danessa herself. She says you can mix the illuminating veils into foundation, wear them under your makeup and use them as a highlighter of course. Because this has very finely milled shimmer that can look a bit glittery when it settles into the skin, I personally wouldn't mix it into my makeup like I do with other glowy based products. I just prefer to concentrate this formula as a highlighter or a really luminous cream eyeshadow. Much like her Colourfix tubes, these are super pigmented. A tiny little dab is plenty. They come in full-size bottles or a mini trio and there's a bit of a floral scent to them. Starting with Synergy, a light pink. This is a really beautiful sort of frosted pearly pink. You can see how intense and creamy this formula is. Certainly more subtle and easy to wear every day when you sheer it out. Luna is more of a classic champagne. I'm sure this one is a popular pick and the kind of pale gold tone many people think of when they hear the word highlighter. Radiance is described as a gold tan. This colour is incredible. Look at that, it's like liquid gold. Such a stunning shade, and it's a beautiful golden shadow. Imagine this on the eyes with fresh skin and a red lip. Perfect. Attraction is called a peach highlight. This was one of the first shades I was drawn to. Really pretty, cooler colour than Radiance. Maybe you could even call it rose gold. Finally, Desire is a brilliant bronze. This one is unbelievable. Such a beautiful highlight on deep skin tones, or an amazing coppery shadow if you sheer it out all over the lid. There they all are. Synergy, Luna, Radiance, Attraction, and Desire. Great to see a range of creamy highlight shades that will work for many different skin tones. Finishing with the brightest of the bunch, her waterproof cushion liners. What's hiding under there? The boldest products I've ever owned. These two neon eyeliner shades might look hard to incorporate into a natural makeup routine, but you absolutely can. Have a look at how Chrissy Teigen's makeup artist Christine Studden used this formula to create a summery, diffused liner look. I love that. She applied the pink shade Cotton Candy and one of the colours I have here, Totally Tangerine. Compared to the other products we've met, this formula is surprisingly and beautifully sheer. So easy to dip the little brush that comes with the pot. It's really high quality, very nicely shaped, straight into the spongy cushion, but I actually start slowly by just picking up the product left on the inside of the lid and painting that on. Pretty Pumpkin is my favourite. It's described as a warm red, but it's really quite a vibrant coral meets watermelon pink. So fun to swipe this along the lash line or even blend it out for a sheer statement all over. If you do pick up too much on the brush, dab it onto the back of your hand to reduce the intensity, or for more intensity, you can even dab your finger straight onto the sponge. Totally Tangerine is a neon orange. I love using orange and coral for a playful pop of colour on the eyes, so this product is a dream. I find this formula the most user-friendly too because it's nowhere near as pigmented. The sheer, buildable colour is much more forgiving if you're trying to perfect your liner shape or smudge it all over. Then it dries matte and does not budge. I've been sharing some colourful shadow inspiration images over on my Instagram at Matilda on Video lately. Well, this is one of the longest videos I've ever made, but there were too many terrific products to talk about. Please let me know if you've tried Oma Beauty or Danessa Myricks Beauty. I'd love to hear which products you've used, which shades and formulas are your favourites, and what you might have your eye on in future. Looking forward to sharing even more easy, creamy, multitasking makeup from Black-owned brands in the next episode. Thanks for watching, see you next time.